Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of Weekends. I'm your host, Big Waz, a.k.a. Wazzy Lambre, and I'm joined finally, man. It took a while to wrangle this guy.
Sorry.
We've been trying to do this.
You had to push on your end.
We did have to push on my end the first time, and then we've been trying to work it in, of course, but we finally did it. Of Cumtown fame and the Adam Friedland show, of course. My man, Adam Friedland, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you so much, dude. I'm a huge fan. I'm so excited.
Listen, man, I got introduced to your work by Chris Ryan, my brother here at The Ringer.
That's insane that the boys over there like it. But all that matters is if William likes it. we need to get him on board.
Everybody's favorite podcaster, Bill Simmons. Yeah, we will. I can't say that I've gotten to talk to him about your work yet.
Bill on the show immediately.
But I would be surprised if he wasn't familiar with what you do. Bill is that tapped in with this kind of stuff. So super happy to have you on the show. Obviously a fan of your great work in comedy, but you are a mega huge NBA fan. And we happen to talk about the NBA on this show. And so, yeah, you're a Los Angeles native, now living in New York.
Yeah, I was born in LA.
Still a Lakers fan. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I was born in LA and I grew up in Vegas. Vegas is actually Lakers
of course
as well. I also used to go to UNLV games. I remember I saw Sean Marion when I was a kid. I saw him. I saw his really gorgeous form in real life. But yeah, so Vegas was kind of a basketball city because of Tark and the Rebels and that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I grew up a Lakers fan. And then they used to have summer league games in Vegas.
Still do.
I remember I went to the USA basketball, their last match before. I think it was
the Redeem team. Was this 2008?
No, I think yes, it was
2012.
Yes, it was the Redeem team. Yeah. And basically everyone, every time Kobe touched the ball, was just MVP. Of
course,
everyone was just rooting for Kobe. And then today is obviously the 3rd year anniversary. Is that right?
Is that true? Is that a fact? It's the 3rd year anniversary of Kobe's passing.
And can you check?
It is.
It
Producer
is.
Ben said it is.
Just an ominous "it is" popping up in the chat.
Wow. Rest in peace to Kobe. I did not even realize today was that day.
Today is the 3rd year. I mean, we all think about him every day.
Of course. You can't be an NBA fan and not.
I was in Tokyo and with my friends on a trip, and my mom was sick. She had cancer, and I woke up to 5 missed calls from my dad. My dad's not from America, but he got into American sports through LA.
Where's your dad from?
My dad's from Cape Town.
Oh, snap! South Africa. Okay.
My dad was on a list. He was on a government list during the bad days.
Why, was he an apartheid regime guy, or was he on the other side of that?
They put him on. He was on an enemies list.
Okay,
of the apartheid regime, and because they saw it, and so what they did was, because he was a Jew, we're Jews, but he was a white guy, and so they tried to conscript him into the military because they saw him as a potential political threat, because he did some shit with some humanitarian relief shit in Swaziland.
You guys always rabble rousing, man. Yeah, y'all gotta chill with the rabble rousing, Adam.
We don't. The Jews need to shut our mouths a little bit. But yeah, they try to send him to Angola to the Civil War. So he moved to LA in 82, and then I was born in 87. So my dad didn't know anything about sports. But he learned American sports to have something to share with his son or his kids, And so my dad was at the Gibson game in 88, the World Series. My dad was there for Showtime Lakers. He had that was his education.
That's all. That is an incredible time and place to become an American sports fan, because that Lakers team was so magical, so many charismatic figures. The brand of basketball was so compelling.
Well, basketball was kind of not a big deal until then, kind of the Showtime Lakers. And I was watching the show. I was watching the show last time. I know we're good. I don't know if we can just
keep going. Keep going. This is what we do on podcasts.
Yeah, I think I was telling you this the first time we talked, but I was watching the show, and then you obviously know the story about like Magic as a rookie, and then he plays all 5 positions, and MVP, and then so I was like, I gotta see. I was like, I knew the story forever, but I was like, I gotta see what this looked like. So I like pulled up the game on YouTube, and I was like, the NBA is so much better now. They are so much better. They're incredible. I mean, I think maybe Magic and Michael Cooper could have played.
Sure. I mean, and obviously Kareem, who wasn't in that particular game because of injury.
Kareem wasn't, but he wasn't in game 6. But I like obviously wasn't raised in that era. So like I was like watching basketball in the 90s. And so I was a Laker fan, but I was like a fan of like some very doo-doo ass teams. Like the Cedric Ceballos, Eldon Campbell.
Corey Blunt.
Corey Blunt.
Yeah.
Nick the Quickman Exel.
Yes.
Legends. The last couple of years of Vladi. And then, and so then I remember when the Shaq trade happened. But Kobe was always my guy because, I feel like I was kind of a kid and he was kind of a kid. And then we just had him forever. And I loved him. I loved him so much. And that's why, like, I think like all Lakers fans are like a little bit full of shit in our embrace of LeBron. Like if we're not being honest with it, because like it was always like LeBron. He was always like, fuck him. This is our guy. He's still the GOAT, he's still like, like he's still the best in the league, like those last couple of years where Kobe was just like, clearly LeBron had eclipsed him, but we were.
We know. And what's so funny? You say you were born in '88, so we're actually the exact same age. And I grew up.
So we have the same NBA,
reference. References 100%. Like I grew up in New York. Of course, I was a big Michael fan. The Knicks thing was cool, but I was obsessed with Jordan. Like I had been, effectively propagandized by Nike, Gatorade, Hanes, the NBA itself, everybody basically being like, this guy's a deity and you should worship at the altar, which I did. I loved Mike. And, when Mike retired that first time in 1998, or the second time, in 1998, it was all of these guys. It was Kobe, it was Steph, the original Stephon Marbury, Iverson, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan.
Chinese Steph.
Exactly.
The Chinese
Maoist Steph.
CCP Steph.
and so these are my reference points. And I remember loving Kobe. He was like somebody that I tried to model my game after because people don't remember this. But when Kobe was young, he was like a ball handling wizard. And in New York, all you cared about was ball handling as a young hooper. And so Kobe was somebody you'd like watch. Like you'd literally tape the game so you could watch Kobe do a crossover over and over again, right? So I was a Kobe fan, but then the Lakers started killing everybody. And I was just like, the little punk rock hip hop side of me was like, fuck that shit. That shit is whack. So I stopped fucking with Kobe as a guy, as a Laker, whatever. And then, you meet obnoxious Laker fans and on it goes. But I remember when he retired feeling really sad because I had realized like as a person in my 30s that like I was getting older, I was like, damn, Kobe's retiring. Yeah, exactly. And so obviously I was deeply affected by his passing and
I was in Tokyo, and so I missed 5 calls from my dad. That's what I said originally 20 minutes ago. And my mom was sick, and I was like, something happened. You're on the other side of the country. Your mom just died. Like, you're a piece of shit. Your whole family's going to hate you.
Right,
you have to buy a $10,000 plane ticket now. You don't have the money. And so then my dad called me, and he's like, Kobe and Gigi died. And, wow. And then I just started crying. And then because there was a tweet that day that was like, this is like Princess Diana for the guys. Like for the
yes, it's true. It
really was. And so
true.
All my friends were sleeping in the Airbnb and I'm just crying. So I was like the saddest white man in Tokyo, but I was just walking around the streets. Like it was like 5 a.m. or something, 6 a.m. And I just found a Starbucks. I just sat there. And there were all these like salarymen, these like Japanese businessmen, like getting ready for work. And they're very like, they don't show emotion and stuff. And
that's
I'm like,
not a thing we do in Japan.
And I'm just like this. Yeah. I'm this obnoxious, like I'm just this obnoxious white man, just like scream crying. Like I just watched like a Pixar movie or something. And then I just pulled up my phone and I watched the 60-point game.
Wow.
And then I cried again. Because I remember that moment. I remember calling my dad. And like that, it was just like he shot a million times. Like, but he was done.
Perfect Kobe.
That last season was an embarrassment. Like that last season, the farewell tour, he was so past it. And we just saw it was like he came back one last time. He was inefficient. He was just chucking. He was ISOing. Like it was like our God was back. We thought we'd never see him again. And we thought they were doing this like weird like farewell tour where every stadium was acting like they liked him, not like they weren't incredibly unfair to him throughout his entire. Most notably, Mr. Bill Simmons, very unfair, very unfair.
I'll say this about Bill. He's been consistent. He's ever since I've started reading Bill, which was probably like the year 2000, maybe 2001.
I'm a massive fan.
To now, he's always been unfair to the Lakers. This is not.
I mean, the way he rides with his guys is just that's how I am with mine. Like if I was a Celtics fan, I would be like exactly like him. You know,
I love that, and of course, R.I.P. to Kobe. Shouts to all of his loved ones.
Yeah.
All the people mourning. I do remember, obviously, I live in LA now. I was in LA when the news came out, and it was just definitely something you could feel. Like people were in a funk and absolutely mourning the guy. People loved Kobe, and that's the only thing that struck me. I was like, man, I really hope Kobe knew how much people cared about this guy.
Yeah, and also
and how much he gave to people. How much happiness
LA,
he gave
it's
to
like
people in LA.
Yeah, sorry. In LA, it's like the Filipinos, like the Mexicans, like everybody.
Yeah.
Like he just like every different community who's just like.
Yeah. Shouts to my man Nate Jones. He talks about this all the time. He's like, the Lakers are the unifying force of the city. Working class people, Hollywood, you name it. Yeah. The Mexicans, the Filipinos, the Middle Eastern homies in Beverly Hills, in the Valley, like you name it, everybody is unified by the Lakers. It's incredible. And obviously Kobe is a big part of that. And not to make an awkward transition, but I do want to talk about the team this year.
Oh,
which my buddy...
The magic of the Lakers.
Dude, my buddy calls this year's Lakers the best sitcom on TV.
It's
because you don't know what's going to happen from game to game.
I text you during the double OT game after we talked. I was like, this is comedy. They should have won that game twice. I mean, the way everything is just falling apart at the end of games. I mean, like they got two like close ones recently over the weekend.
For sure.
But, I mean,
that the Spurs last night, who are clearly in Wembanyama mode, but a W's a W. AD is back, so that's a nice revelation. But it's just
don't mess with the Sochan and Wembanyama. You think that's the duo?
Sure, why not?
That's the future.
Why not? Just get Victor in there, and everything else will fall into place. I like that Sohan is paying tribute and homage to Dennis Rodman. That is awesome. The Rodman
I like his look, and I didn't realize he had a British accent.
I've never heard him speak. He's British?
He's British.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's Polish. His mom was a Polish NBA player. And then he grew up in England. But he was born in the States. He was born
Hopefully he doesn't lose his accent like Ben Simmons, but that's neither here nor there.
Maybe he lost. Maybe that's some indication.
Topic for another day.
It'd be so sick if he was just proper Australian. If he just sounded like Luke Longley.
But Adam, he is proper Australian. He's just decided that he'd rather talk with an American black accent. I don't know, because black Americans are cooler than Aussies, apparently. I don't know.
That's obviously they're cooler. Like, what are you talking about? If he's just, I don't know. Maybe Simmons. Maybe that can relate a little bit to his struggles. Who struggles
knows,
of identity in the league.
It's translating onto the court. I think somebody with better psychological skills than me could figure that out. But how often are you watching the Lakers these days?
Oh, let's talk about. Well, it's clear. Like, I mean, it's clear. LeBron's gonna get another chip. I mean, it's not that confusing. We can see it. Like, you know,
wait, LeBron's gonna win another championship this year. Is that what you're saying? Is that
guaranteed ring? Guaranteed ring.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like, here's my problem. Here's my Lakers thesis, right? So after Kobe, I was like fully invested in the baby Lakers, right?
Sure.
And like to the extent that I will always root for all of them. Like I will always be a Brandon Ingram fan. Like he's in my heart forever, right? And after the bubble, the summer was so short, right? And the bubble was so long, right?
Yeah.
And some teams didn't even go to the bubble, right?
Right.
So they got to have like such a long break. And I just feel like the organization didn't protect their assets. And we like AD and Braun, they should have rested them the first half of the next season. And they immediately got hurt and it fucked our next season. And like kind of like still to some extent, we're feeling the effects of that. In my opinion, at least. And like now everyone has this. I love Anthony Davis. I think he's an incredibly talented guy. I love watching him. Like I think like, you know, he was instrumental in like that shot against Denver in the bubble. Like he was instrumental in that.
He was incredible. He was an MVP level player in the bubble.
And this season we've seen.
Yes.
I mean, this season, like he took over the fucking league this season.
Okay,
like,
but we have to be honest with ourselves though. The bubble was in 2020. It's been before he took off to begin the season or whatever, before he got hurt. He had not played like that for 2 years. He had not played like that since the bubble. Like I'm talking about times that he was healthy and all of that stuff. I think he realized that like if the team was completely piss poor and crap, like he would be blamed for it, and rightfully so. And so he stepped up to the plate.
Yeah. I think that he's just been feeling the effects of like the organization, not like Braun and him both got hurt the next year. Braun's a freak. And like the way he's playing right now is just like, we will never, I mean, like I'm a Kobe fan, but like there is no, it's so boring to get into the GOAT debate, but like no one has played basketball that well ever.
Yeah.
For that long.
At 38, it's crazy. Yeah.
It is 100%. Insane. I mean, like the what was it, 46-point loss the other night? Like, just like him sitting on the bench, just being like, oh, we're getting blown out, but I still had 46. And like, it's like, we've never seen anything like this. And like, he's Achilles. He's dipped into the river Styx. Like he's sent by God. Like Kobe and MJ had to be sociopaths to get that good at basketball. They had to have like sports dads and like, you know, like they had to make their brains into like something different. But Braun is an angel. Like it's just like there's no other way around it.
I'm sure there's some middle management types in places like Miami and Cleveland who would have different opinions, but yeah, his approach is so much different than Mike and Kobe's, and you know the success that he's had to 38 is honestly the only other person is freaking Kareem, which is ironic that he's gonna break Kareem's record. But Kareem's the only person that was like MVP type of player at 38, still one of the best players on a championship type of team, you know, into his late 30s. And LeBron, you know, following Kareem's footsteps. It's a shame that they don't get along and Kareem kind of has a beef with so many other players. What's your feeling about Braun breaking the scoring record in a Laker uniform? Does that mean anything to you?
Wilson. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I obviously, like, I love him, you know? I love him. And, like, I love hoop and I love watching him play, you know? But, like, he's really just, like, you know, he struggled his whole career, like when he did the decision and all that stuff, like he had so many missteps and like so many people were on his ass. And like, you know, like for a Laker fan, like we don't get one franchise players. Like that's a very rare thing in this day and age, unless it's like a superstar, like a you know, Steph or like whatever. But like Braun, so like, like his identity is kind of spread, I think, a little bit, and like, but
so it's hard for you to tap into.
It's really tight. It's obviously really tight. We're gonna be excited about it. Like, it's really tight, but like we're all a little bit full of shit.
Yeah,
I think we're all a little bit full of shit.
Yeah, it's hard to expect the Laker fans to embrace the breaking of this record when a lion's share of these points were scored for two other teams, right? And so I understand the apprehension about giving this a full bear hug, but I think like a lot of things with LeBron, it's hard to understand what's happening in the moment. Like it's unbelievable, a lot of the stuff associated with LeBron. Like I think about the Detroit Pistons, the 29 out of the last 30 points that he scored in that playoff game, and they weren't supposed to beat Detroit, weren't supposed to go to the finals. But I remember where I was when I was watching it, and I felt like I was having an outer body experience. I was like, is this really happening? Are they really going to beat the Detroit freaking Pistons? The people who have dominated the Eastern Conference for the last 4 or 5 years.
I hate and
this dude's going to go to the finals at like 21? Like what?
Yeah.
And so like so much of that stuff is hard to like in the moment. It was just so hard to even grasp or get your arms around. And I think the scoring title is the same. It's just like people don't understand what this guy's doing.
For you, the way that you say that you've liked guys, right? You're from New York, but you're not a Knicks guy.
No, I've never been a Knicks guy. The only teams I root for are the Mets and the Jets.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's awful. And which, by the way, after we wrap this, we'll get into after we move on from the Lakers, we'll get into that really quickly.
Okay, but like my girlfriend has a little cousin who lives in the city. He's like the coolest little kid ever, and he like knows everything about ball. Like,
that's awesome.
Sick. Yeah, and like we chill with him, like we see him at holidays and stuff, and like all the kids these days just like guys. Like he's a Giannis fan. He doesn't have like a team though. And it's just like, that's kind of makes more sense. Like if you're a Braun guy, when he comes into the league, that the breaking the scoring record is like, you're going to cry. Like it's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is too, like, I think it makes sense to like teams when your team is competently ran. to be a Kings fan is just like, Jesus, like, I'm happy that you are, but like that is hard, to like absolutely never be rewarded for your loyalty, like ever, like that's tough. And so like I understand that, but I wanted to get into
the Doug Christie, Vlade, Mike Bibby, like that. They're still eating off of that success.
They're still eating off of that success though. Like people are still feeling attachment to that team because of that. Yeah. That team was so good. Yeah, even you as a Laker fan had to respect.
Bobby Jackson.
Of course. Vlade, Scott Pollard. Hito, Peja. It was ridiculous. Chris Webber. Chris Webber is in the Hall of Fame based off of the 4 years or whatever run that he had with Sacramento alone. Like, just off of that. White Chocolate, Mike Bibby, it's just incredible. Incredible stuff.
They should have beat the Lakers. That was
not
for a little bit of David Stern 666 Illuminati stuff going on.
2002 was unfortunate, but you asked me about my fandom and the only two teams that I root for. The third team that I root for is Manchester City.
Come on, man.
And tell me why this is a bad thing. Explain it to me, please, Adam.
When did you choose? You went on Twitter? You asked people on Twitter?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I went on Twitter. I was like, all right, listen, guys, I'm really getting into the European world football stuff. I want to pick a team. The only other two teams that I root for actively, and now I'm kind of an LSU fan too. My niece goes there. Yeah, football. I don't care about the hoop team. Just
not Ben Simmons. Not the Ben Simmons.
No, just LSU football is like the coolest brand in college football. But that's another topic. But I was just like, look, my teams are my teams, and their history are their history. And everybody on Twitter was just like, yo, You deserve happiness.
Have a good time.
You deserve some level of sports joy.
Dude,
root for the winners. Root for Man City. And I gotta say, it's the best decision that I've ever fucking made.
Pep is
so cool. He is so fucking cool.
Greatest minds in soccer. Also, I'm an Arsenal supporter, so our manager was his protege. So the way we set up, the way like he thinks about the game is basically just kind of
similar to Pep.
Yeah, he's coaching tree. Yeah, Pep coaching tree. So but I kind of maybe have to thank you. I mean, I know like we're gonna fuck it up. Like they hurt me. They hurt me so much. Like I became an Arsenal supporter the season after they went invincible. So they didn't lose a game in 03-04. They didn't lose a single game.
They didn't lose a single match that season in the Premier League
match. It was the most magical.
What about Champions League? Did they lose it all?
They lost to Chelsea in the Champions League. It was fucked. It was fucked. So, but I think like beyond that, like, okay, so I've only suffered with this team. And at this point, like if you're getting into soccer, like you kind of get aesthetically, if you like basketball, like they ball like at this point, if I'm watching sports, like it's like, I just want to see like beautiful shit happen,
100%.
And so like, from my NBA fandom, that's how I got into soccer, because it's like, it's back and forth, and then you like go into your opponent's territory, and like there's like a similar kind of whatever. But maybe potentially, because this season we basically, I'll describe Arsenal to you, right? It's like the baby Lakers, right? Never got traded, right? It's like the baby Lakers were all together.
Got you.
And they are years ahead of the curve of like even having a sniff at being good. And they're doing it now. And they're fucking good.
Busaka, he is incredible.
He is my entire heart. He's like, I only want him to be happy. Like he is such a good kid, And like they are so young. They're the youngest team in the league. They've been the youngest team in the league by some measure for like seasons now. And it's like, it's as if like Brandon Ingram is like
Lonzo
is leading the Lakers to the best record in the league.
D'Lo, Kuz, all of them were just leading the Lakers to the best record. And that's
which is like, you
awesome
feel like you earn it, right? Because you suffer through it.
Of course.
You suffer through it, so you feel like you earn it, right? That's the kind of magic there. So, but I think that you just brought your stinkiness from the Jets
to Man City.
I think that you're maybe doing this. I think you might be the force. I think you might be so cursed by being a Jetsy fan. I think you might be so cursed that this is actually why the season has become so magical.
So that's the thing. Obviously, City heavily favored to win the Premier League this year.
I mean,
every year
Holland.
Incredible.
We've never seen this.
Incredible. He's breaking records left and right. Erling Haaland. It's funny, when I first started rooting for the team, Aguero was still the striker, right? And I was like, wow, this guy is fucking incredible, right? I was like, wow, they make strikers better than this? This is crazy. This guy is insane, right?
Yeah.
And then Haaland comes in this year and he's breaking literally every single goal scoring record the club has ever had. He's just, and he's not just breaking, he's annihilating them. It's like almost like Babe Ruth in the 1920s with baseball home run records, what this dude is doing to the club's records. And it's incredible. And it's like, it'll be sad if they finish second or third in the Premier League, but it's just like, whatever, they'll be in the Champions League next year. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
And they'll spend their blood money. They will spend their
here we go.
No, I mean, listen, if I had to choose a Manchester team, I'd definitely support City. They're cool, like Oasis, like City. Like, they're like the shit team. But like when I chose Arsenal, it was Manchester United or Arsenal were the two best teams. And like I chose them because of a striker, because of Thierry Henry, who's my favorite player. And but Arsenal just had cooler guys. Like it was very like Lakers Celtics in the 80s. They were like there were like kind of workmen like white boys on one team, and then there were like cool French guys on the other team. So I was just like, obviously I'm gonna choose the guys that get nicer, that like it looks where it looks cooler and stuff.
Love that.
So yeah, so that's why that's kind of like that's another like basketball analogy for like how I got into the game. But like City are like they've never really set up this way before, because like Pep had this thing where strikers weren't important. Like he had this way allegedly he set up like multiple lineups, and he would cook people without a striker, where he'd have like 6'8" on the floor or on the field. And he'd be like, no, it's just about positional football. It's just like, it's like, he's like, the cool thing is like, it's very modern. It's kind of like when the Warriors dropped, right? Like I'm like a closeted Warriors appreciator.
Got you. And it's about positional spacing, running into space. Like I understand the basketball and soccer comparison, because again, it is about finding the space and filling it, right? Just like it is in any game. And, you know, certain players command a certain level of defensive attention, AKA gravity, and finding ways to exploit that. Like, it's all very similar. And then they got Erling Haaland, who was like, no, let's just get this guy the ball in the box.
Yeah. Let's just get this monster. Let's just get like the best guys in the Viking world.
Warrior.
Like, let's get Kevin De Bruyne. Let's get all the best guys in the world to just chuck it to him.
Yep.
And then it's just like give shit, like feed Shaq. Like basically that's what they're doing, bro. You know?
And he's getting better at using his head. He's just, it's ridiculous. And you know, the funny thing, I was having a conversation with my buddy Nando, who is my resident soccer expert. And I was like, man, you know, Haaland is better than Mbappe. And he was like, Waz, just calm down, sir. We get it. You love your team. You're having a great time. He's breaking all these records, but he doesn't do shit on the ball. Okay, like he's just a finisher.
No, he touches Haaland touches the ball like 11 times a game, but he just puts it in every time.
Like, right. Yeah, like, but Mbappe does both. He finishes, he initiates, he sets people up. He's really, really incredible. More than a one-trick pony. I will concede that point to him. But before we get you out of here, Adam, I want to talk to you about, man, like you are, dare I say it, a successful working comedian.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
I was not for forever.
And that's what I want to talk to you about. It's like, how does it feel like when you think about your younger self and now you're like, you literally pay your bills and then some via a career making jokes? What is that like? What is that like for you these days?
Well, really, it's because of podcasting, really. I mean, like, that's the crazy thing is like comedy really changed. When I started, you had to like get a late night television spot, and then you get a Comedy Central Presents, and then you get an hour. And like, that was kind of like that's the order of operations. And then, then we started this stupid podcast for like men with traumatic brain injuries, with non-sports related CTE, with gaming related CTE, with guys that have injured their brains through Call of Duty. We started this podcast 6 years ago. We did it for a long time. And then we kind of transitioned recently to this. We kind of got sick of podcasting. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of transitioning the model to being like once a week, it's going to be a podcast. And then now we're trying to produce our late night talk show on our own and fund it ourselves. And we've spent
a lot of money on it.
We spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars recreating
collectively
the Dick Cavett
show. Wow.
Yeah. But we were like literally copied the Dick Cavett show set. And like, the idea is like, we don't want to make, eventually we don't want to make an ironic talk show like, you know, Eric Andre or something like that. We want to ironic.
Shouts to Eric Andre, big Haitian, fellow Haitian. Shouts to him.
The best, one of the best. No, we want to ironically make a talk show. So we want like the guys from the most moronic podcast of all time to accidentally make a professional talk show. That's the goal right now. So I mean, like, so this month we've been kind of building out the control room. So now we have a live switcher. So we have people switching between the 3 cameras. So we have like our guys are on headsets and they're like, go to camera 3. Like, it's like none of us knew how to do any of this shit 6 months ago. And it's been like really fun, like learning all this crap. And like, yeah, we shot an episode with Simon Rex yesterday.
Big dog
from Red Rocket and Scary Movie 3.
Red Rocket, I heard was fire. I still haven't seen it. I want to see that though.
Yeah, I might rent that tonight. That's going to be coming out on Monday on patreon.com/PAFS. So, and then, so now we just signed with a talent booking company. So they're like the same company that books like Kimmel and stuff. So like they're going to be booking guests and we're going to be coming out with like a weekly, basically late night talk show. And
I love that. Look at you, big dog. Yeah. And then you got a show in Philly this weekend, or is it multiple shows?
When does this drop?
This drops Friday morning.
Okay, great. So I'm in Philly at Helium tonight, 2 shows, and tomorrow night 2 shows. And I have one tonight, but it's Thursday. And then next weekend I'm in Pittsburgh. So yeah, I mean, like the schedule recently has been crazy because like we've been figuring out how to make a TV show. And then, so like for 4 days, we're literally at our studio and like trying to figure out, like we're some of the dumbest guys of all time. We are so stupid. And like, so we're trying to figure out like how do TV do it? You know, like we don't know, like we don't know what we're doing. And then me and Nick have been on the road every weekend doing stand up. So it's just like it's been a fucking marathon these last couple of months, but it's really cool. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm doing the road now. I'm hopefully going to put out an hour by the end of the year. Like stand up is why I moved to New York. But then I moved here and then like, I remember my parents were like, we don't have any connections in the entertainment industry. So they're like, you know, like you're going to fail. And I was like, it's about talent. It's about, you have to be the best. Right. And then I moved here. I was like, oh yeah, there are tons of people that have connections that get ahead. And then also I thought I was like some unique talent. And then they're like literally 1,000 guys named Adam Friedland that look like 1,000 Jews. Like literally, there's nothing special about me. Like just like literally just doppelgangers of
not in New York City. There isn't.
Just like, and I'm like, I'm gonna move to New York, and I'm like, you know, because I started comedy in DC, and I was like the glasses Jew, Nebbish. Okay. I was like the local guy, and I'd like play the clubs when like the
Nebbish Jewish homie. Okay, got you.
And then I moved here. You got to move to New York or LA. And then I got smacked in the face. And I was like, oh my God. I told my parents that I didn't want to go to law school. I'm a fucking idiot. I was like, I thought I was special. And then we started this podcast and it became quite successful, I guess.
You've had the last laugh, brother.
But it was like, it wasn't premeditated. Like we didn't know you could make money from podcast. Like it kind of happened like 6 years ago. It was like very different.
Way different than it is now, you know.
And yeah, so like it was just kind of like we were at the center of like it was right place, right time. I think it was also very funny. We're like very funny guys that were on the show with us. It was 3 guys, and now it's me and Nick, and we're doing the Adam Friedland show now. So we've like adjusted the model. We're doing kind of like a video podcast on Wednesdays, and then we're doing the talk show that's going to be coming out on Mondays. And that's kind of the model that we're going to be sticking to. So
wonderful, cool. Man. Keep it locked with Adam, man. Adam, tell people where they can find you and your work exactly where they can find it.
You could watch the show. You could pay money and watch my shit. No, you could, patreon.com/TAFS, the Adam Friedland Show. I think patreon.com/the Adam Friedland Show also works. Also, I do stand up all over the country, and Twitter, Instagram. I'm on all that crap. I just recently hired someone to do my posts for me because I fucking hate social media.
Nah, it's understandable. And while we're in the process of trying to get our listeners to part with their cash, the Ringer NBA show is doing a live show.
I'm a big fan.
Salt Lake City during All-Star Weekend. Please, if you can.
They're doing it in Salt Lake this year?
Yes, Salt Lake City is where it's at.
This is going to be the wackest All-Star weekend ever.
Oh, come on, man. No, the great city of Salt Lake, it's going to be incredible. How would you say that? We will be at the State Room on February 18th. Amazing. Doors open at 10 p.m. Go to the State Room's website. You can get your tickets right now. And yeah, check us out. If you happen to be in Salt Lake City for All-Star Weekend, check us out. It's going to be every single person, me, Sirit, Logan, Kyle, KOC, you name it. Every single person in Ringer World will be on hand for the show. So get your tickets. We plan on putting on an incredible show for you guys. So make sure you get that. Adam, I want to thank you again for coming on, man. Appreciate you. Can't wait to talk to you again, brother.